Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt your energy drain? Or spent time with certain people and left feeling smaller than when you arrived? What if I told you that your mental struggles aren't just coming from inside your head, but from the invisible psychological environments you're swimming in every single day? Carl Jung, the legendary psychologist, discovered something revolutionary. Our minds aren't isolated islands. They're more like sponges, constantly absorbing the emotional and psychological atmosphere around us. Today, we're going to explore 7 dangerous psychological environments that could be slowly eroding your mental strength without you even realizing it. These aren't just physical places. They're psychological landscapes that exist in our relationships, our digital spaces, our homes, and even within our own minds. Each one has the power to rewire how you think, feel, and see yourself. But here's the good news. Once you can recognize these environments, you can choose to step out of them. 1. The echo chamber, where independent thinking goes to die. The first dangerous environment is deceptively comforting. It's the echo chamber. This is any space, physical or digital, where everyone thinks exactly like you do. Your social media feed shows you posts that confirm what you already believe. Your friend group shares identical opinions. Your news sources tell you what you want to hear. At first, this feels amazing. You feel validated, understood, accepted. But Jung warned us that the psyche needs intellectual friction to grow. When we're never challenged, never forced to question our assumptions, our thinking becomes rigid and brittle. Think about it. When was the last time someone changed your mind about something important? If you can't remember, you might be living in an echo chamber. The danger isn't that you have strong beliefs, it's that you've stopped testing them against reality. Here's a practical exercise. This week, intentionally seek out one perspective that challenges your worldview. Read an article, watch a video, or have a conversation with someone who sees things differently. Notice how your mind reacts. Does it immediately reject new information, or can it hold space for uncertainty? If this is hitting home for you, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. When was the last time someone genuinely changed your mind about something important? I read every comment, and your insights help shape future videos. The comparison arena, where self-worth goes to compete. The second toxic environment is everywhere in our modern world. It's the comparison arena. This is any space where your worth is measured against someone else's highlight reel. Social media is the obvious culprit, but it exists in offices, friend groups, and family gatherings too. Jung believed in a process called individuation, becoming who you're uniquely meant to be. But the comparison arena turns this sacred journey into a race where everyone's running towards someone else's finish line. You scroll through Instagram and see perfect bodies, perfect relationships, perfect vacations. Suddenly, your life feels inadequate. You achieve a goal you've worked toward for years, but instead of celebrating, you immediately notice someone who's achieved more. The goalposts keep moving because they were never yours to begin with. Here's what's really happening. You're outsourcing your self-worth. Instead of checking in with your own values and progress, you're letting external metrics define your success. This creates a psychological split where you abandon your authentic desires in favor of borrowed ones. The antidote? Start asking different questions. Instead of, why am I not more like them? Ask, what brings me alive? Instead of, how do I measure up? Ask, how am I growing? Your journey is not a competition, it's an exploration. The masked circle, where authenticity becomes a liability. The third environment is particularly insidious because it often masquerades as connection. It's the masked circle. This is any group where you have to fragment yourself to belong, where your real thoughts, feelings, and opinions are unwelcome. Jung called our social mask the persona, the version of ourselves we present to fit in. A healthy persona is flexible, like changing clothes for different occasions. But in the masked circle, the persona becomes a prison. You forget it's a mask and start believing it's who you really are. Maybe it's a workplace where expressing dissent is career suicide, a family where certain topics are taboo, a friend group where vulnerability is met with judgment. You learn to smile when you're hurting, laugh when nothing's funny, and stay silent when you're burning to speak. The cost is enormous. Every time you betray your authentic self, you lose a piece of your vitality. You become emotionally invisible, even to yourself. You start to wonder, who am I when nobody's watching? What do I actually think and feel? Recognition is the first step to freedom. Notice when you're performing versus when you're being. Pay attention to how you feel after social interactions. Are you energized or drained? Seen or hidden? The right environments don't require you to abandon yourself. They invite you to be more fully who you are. The silent home, where emotions go to suffocate. The fourth dangerous environment might surprise you because it often looks peaceful from the outside. It's the silent home. This is any space where feelings are unwelcome, where emotional expression is discouraged, and where keeping the peace means keeping quiet. These environments teach us that our inner world is dangerous territory. You learn that tears make people uncomfortable, anger is unacceptable, and excitement is too much. So you adapt. You become emotionally invisible, presenting a calm exterior while your inner world churns in isolation. Jung understood that our early emotional environments literally shape our psyche. In homes where silence replaces connection, children learn to suppress their authentic responses. They become masters of "I'm fine," even when they're falling apart inside. The tragedy is that unexpressed emotions don't disappear. They go underground. They emerge as anxiety, depression, sudden outbursts, or that vague sense that something's missing from your life. You might find yourself attracted to drama or chaos because it's the only way you know how to feel alive. Healing begins when you give yourself permission to feel without apology. Start small. Notice your emotions without immediately trying to fix or suppress them. Practice saying, "I'm struggling," instead of "I'm fine," when someone asks how you are. Your feelings aren't problems to be solved. They're information to be honored. The chaotic space, where stillness becomes the enemy. The fifth environment is everywhere in our hyper-connected world. It's the chaotic space. This is any environment where constant stimulation drowns out your inner voice, where your phone never leaves your hand, your calendar has no breathing room, and stillness feels like a threat. Jung famously said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." But in chaotic spaces, there's no opportunity to look within. You're too busy responding, reacting, and consuming to notice what's happening in your inner world. The danger isn't the activity itself, it's the addiction to it. You fill every moment with noise because silence has become unbearable. You've forgotten how to be alone with your thoughts without immediately reaching for distraction. This creates a devastating cycle. The more chaotic your environment, the more anxious you become. The more anxious you become, the more you need distraction. Soon, you're living on the surface of your own life, skimming across experiences without ever diving deep. The antidote is radical but simple: intentional stillness. Start with just 5 minutes a day of silence. No phone, no music, no input. Just you and your thoughts. Notice what arises. Are you comfortable with yourself, or do you immediately want to escape? Your inner world isn't empty, it's just been ignored. When you create space for it, you'll be amazed at what emerges. Creativity, insight, peace, and most importantly, a sense of coming home to yourself. The abandoned self, where you become a stranger to yourself. The sixth environment is perhaps the most heartbreaking because it's self-created. It's the abandoned self. This is the psychological space you create when you consistently betray your own needs, desires, and boundaries in service of others' comfort. It doesn't happen overnight. It's built through small betrayals. Saying yes when your body screams no. Laughing when your soul feels heavy. Staying when every instinct tells you to leave. You tell yourself you're being mature, responsible, selfless. But Jung would say you're committing psychological suicide. The abandoned self is where people-pleasers live. Where you've become so skilled at reading others' needs that you've forgotten your own. You might be praised for how giving you are, how little you ask for, how easy you are to be around. But inside, you feel like a ghost in your own life. This creates a profound disconnection. You look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back. You feel homesick, but not for a place, for yourself. For the person you were before you learned that your needs didn't matter. Jung's process of individuation is about reclaiming these abandoned parts. It's about having the courage to disappoint others in service of your own truth. It's about remembering that self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. Start by asking yourself, what do I need right now? Not what others need from me, not what I should need, but what I actually need. Then practice honoring that need, even in small ways. Your authentic self is still there, waiting for you to come home. 7. The forbidden room, where your shadow lives. The final and perhaps most dangerous environment exists entirely within your own psyche. It's the forbidden room. This is where you've locked away the parts of yourself you've deemed unacceptable. Your anger, your grief, your shame, your desires that don't fit your self-image. Jung called this collection of rejected aspects the shadow. It's not evil, it's simply human. But when we refuse to acknowledge these parts of ourselves, they don't disappear. They go underground and begin to run our lives from the shadows. Have you ever exploded with anger that seemed to come from nowhere? Chosen partners who mirror wounds you thought you'd healed. Found yourself repeating patterns you swore you'd break. That's your shadow at work, trying to get your attention. The forbidden room is maintained by shame. We're terrified that if people saw these hidden parts, they'd reject us. So we build walls around them, pretending they don't exist. But the energy it takes to maintain these walls is enormous. It leaves us feeling fragmented, exhausted, and somehow never quite whole. Integration is the path to freedom. This doesn't mean acting on every impulse or emotion, but rather acknowledging them without judgment. When you can say, yes, I have anger. Yes, I have fear. Yes, I have desires I'm ashamed of. You reclaim the energy you've been using to suppress them. The goal isn't to eliminate the shadow, it's to befriend it. Because within those rejected parts lie tremendous gifts. Your creativity, your passion, your authentic power. What you think is your weakness might actually be your greatest strength in disguise. Now that you've walked through these 7 psychological environments, you might recognize yourself in more than one. Maybe you've been living in an echo chamber, wondering why your thinking feels stagnant. Perhaps you've been performing in the masked circle, exhausted from hiding your true self. Or maybe you've been tiptoeing around the forbidden room, afraid of what you might find inside. Here's what Jung understood. Awareness is the beginning of liberation. You can't change what you can't see. But once you recognize these toxic environments, you can begin to make different choices. This isn't about perfection or completely avoiding these spaces. That's impossible. It's about becoming a conscious steward of your mental and emotional energy. It's about asking yourself, is this environment supporting my growth or stunting it? Am I being invited to become more myself, or am I being asked to shrink? Mental strength isn't about having everything figured out. It's about having the courage to leave what diminishes you, even when it feels familiar, even when it feels safe. Because your psyche, like your soul, cannot evolve in captivity. The journey towards psychological freedom is not walked in comfort. It requires the bold decision to stop abandoning yourself and start honoring the environments your soul has outgrown. But here's the beautiful truth. Every time you choose authenticity over approval, growth over comfort, truth over performance, you become a little more whole. Call to action 2. Your journey toward mental freedom starts with this awareness. If this video opened your eyes to patterns you hadn't seen before, share it with someone who needs this message. Hit that notification bell so you never miss content that could transform your perspective. And most importantly, start paying attention to the environments you're choosing. Your future self will thank you. The path to wholeness isn't about finding the perfect environment. It's about developing the wisdom to recognize which spaces serve your growth and which ones stunt it. In our next video, we'll explore practical strategies for creating psychological boundaries that protect your mental space while still engaging meaningfully with the world. Remember, you're not meant to be a victim of your circumstances. You're meant to be the conscious architect of your inner world. Hit subscribe if you're ready to continue this journey of self-discovery, and I'll see you in the next video, where we dive even deeper into reclaiming your psychological freedom.